Thank you, everyone. Please help me in welcoming our panelists. Suad from Parsons, Zaina, Khatib and Alami, Michelle, JT and Partners, Christina, Dries and Summer, Sarah, Emerald, and Samantha, Alec, and Camelia from ACOM. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for joining us here today. I'm very excited to be here. I'm sure everyone is. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure everyone is happy to be here. I am excited very much. Anyone who knows me personally knows how much I am committed to this cause, I say. We've had a really good session outside. I'm hoping to take it in. I'm sure a lot of you saw us outside just talking. The subject that we have today is about health and safety on site and in offices. And we believe, obviously, that this is a very important subject, but it's a subject that a lot of companies are committed to. It's a value for a lot of our companies here. And what we wanted is basically to take that and move forward and talk about our personal experience and our personal beliefs and what we want to share with everyone here. So I'll start first with Camelia. She's sitting beside me. Camelia, it was really nice to know that you've been part of the health and safety team in ACOM for a while. I know that you're now, looking into a different part of health and safety, but can you please share with us your experience?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Basically, I think it's very interesting to see how each one discovers his own passion or things that they really like to do. Interestingly, I started about 11 years ago working with ACOM in an admin role. And shortly after, I have met the first health and safety manager that was recruited for our company. Quite a small team. Shortly, I got really interested in the subject, started digging in his office, reading all his books, and just asking a lot of questions. I was really captivated how fragile we are, how many incidents there are on site, and how many things we can actually do to improve and to help the people around us. So I joined the health and safety team, started studying, doing my diploma in health and safety, and really enjoyed. But then I realized there is a lot of focus on safety, but not as much on health. So I started drifting towards health and well-being, which now I'm really passionate about, and do a lot on mental health as well, which I reckon it's a lot of cause of many injuries and incidents, and we can do a lot to prevent rather than look after.
That's really amazing, and I think that we all share that passion with you. We talk a lot about the procedures that we have on health and safety on sites, whether on sites or in offices. And Sarah, I'm going to ask you here. You told me something that was really good that's implemented by your company, so I want to know a little bit about it.
So I work in facilities management. So we manage various sites with staff numbers up to 900. Technicians, cleaners, engineers, both male and female staff. So obviously health and safety is a huge focus for us, and it's a huge challenge for all of us regardless of what kind of site we're working on. And we've recently launched a behavioural-based safety programme, which is really focusing on trying to get all individuals to think about their families and why it is that they're working safely. So it's great that we've got, I think it's safe to say that we've all got our risk assessments in place, we've all got our work method statements in place, permits to work, etc. But those documents are, at the end of the day, documents, and we need every individual not just to think about the paperwork and think about everything that's going into these documents, but to actually think why. Why are they trying to work safely? And I think it's been a great success because we've actually got everybody on the ground involved in the programme, and it's really embedded health and safety in, and it's made it a lighter topic as well. Think about your family at home. Why do you need to do this task safely today? And focusing on that. And a few years ago, we also launched, which is what I told you about, the stop work card. Now, it's actually only a card, it literally is a piece of paper, but what we've done is given everybody in the company is issued with a stop work card, and it empowers individuals to stop any work that they think isn't happening safely. And we're not just talking about emerald workers within our company, but any contractors, any individuals that are seen by anybody not to be working safely. The idea behind it is that it gives you a bit of confidence to just go up and use the card.
Authority to
yeah,
actually
exactly.
take, yeah.
Please stop what you're doing. And I've personally used the card in many different situations. And obviously, being female, you do need a little bit of extra confidence to go up to a group of guys who are no doubt professionals and know what they're doing. But just having the card there and, it's got our managing director's autograph on it.
You were sharing with me a story where you actually stopped the work of another contractor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was it. And though, a team of workers, they weren't working safely on some scaffolding. And obviously, I think we all do the don't walk by, but just, I really had to go over there, excuse me guys, and showed them the card, which, it's a card, like I said, but I need you to stop what you're doing now, please, and I need you to just come down so I can have a chat with you about your safety. And I had the confidence then to take it further, and I did escalate it. But ultimately, it's just so important that we all feel confident enough to do that. It doesn't matter who you are, what position you're in, whether you're male or female, it really doesn't matter. Everyone should feel confident enough to stop any work taking place that isn't being performed
to actually
safely.
speak up,
exactly,
right? And not just in this circumstance,
we're all accountable.
everywhere else. Yeah. You find a lot that you're probably the only woman, whether in construction sites or in the office sometimes. And I think it's called the only. It's like one of McKinsey's study that actually said part of female in workplace is sometimes you find yourself the only in a meeting or the only on a site visit. Sam, you're working right now on a site.
Yes.
Can you share with us your experience?
Is my mic on? Yeah. So I work for Alec. I'm currently working on a construction site. I'm in the design department, and I've had a couple experiences before where. And I think men, sometimes they will come to you and are you okay? It's a bit hot outside, and we're just as capable as everyone else. So I think a lot of it comes down to the perception that we will be okay and we can work on a construction site. So that's something that when I first came to this region, I experienced on the previous project, and I think everyone's just come to know who I am and that I'm just as capable as a man. So yeah, I don't know whether anyone else in this panel has had that kind of experience where you just feel a little bit patronized.
Yeah, sometimes you do go through it. I shared my personal experience where I was actually working on a construction site while pregnant. And you have, I know it comes from actually caring about your health, and it comes with risk that you're pregnant and on construction sites. But sometimes you do feel that it's more of patronizing to an extent. I would say that I want to stay positive and say it's more about well-being rather than anything else. Zaina, you also shared the same experience that I had to go last year.
Yes, actually, I would like to start by saying that leadership is the main drivers of health and safety in any organization, regardless we're on construction site or in office space. So leaders should drive this. It's the responsibility of everyone within an organization to highlight any risks combined with health, safety, and environment, because it does damage the organization badly. It's connected to reputation. Having incidents on sites will impact the reputation of an organization. I don't think any client would like to hire a consultant or a contractor that had lots of incidents in the records, and because reputation.
Yeah, it's leading by example and setting the best practice by having the leaders adopt it, and not just actually adopt it, believe in it. So yeah,
honestly, I have a baby. She's 1 year old, and I passed through the whole pregnancy. Thanks God, throughout the 9 months, I didn't have to take a 1 day sick day off. I worked for full 9 months, and I was in construction site at the last week of my pregnancy.
That's amazing.
Yes, the last week before delivering, I was on 3 sites on every day. And this experience was, to be honest, pleasant. I didn't face any difficulties. To be honest, where I come from, Khatib and Alami, it's very well developed with policies and procedures on health, safety, and environment. And they do care about human. Whether
The human factor.
yes,
behind it, yeah.
whether they are direct employees or partners on projects. So we have very strict regulations within the project that no one should be crossing. And this is where leadership plays a huge role. I was on site for a week and 3 different construction sites, driving around, and I didn't feel any difficulties, although it was my last week. So this is what differs, how our leaders are leading health and driving health, safety, and environment within the environment we're sitting in, and the workplace.
I totally agree, and I believe all of us agree on that.
And I think I can share a couple of examples that I mentioned to your side as well. I think you can have the positive and you can have the negative. It's all about, like you say, leadership. So we have, I visited a couple of projects and met some wonderful ladies and gentlemen, of course, but I'm talking about expectant mothers or new moms. And some of the projects, they have that support mechanism and they truly enjoy being there. So even if, let's say, we say, would you like to go to an office rather than based on site? They love that support mechanism. They love the team. They say, listen, we are here 10 hours together and we're like a family, so I really want to stay here. That goes to tell you that it's actually not as bad as we think. But
Actually,
then
my greatest memories are on site, honestly. Yeah, it's a nice place to be.
Can be a really good environment and
It
very
does,
supportive, and not as rigid as sometimes you'll find corporate offices. So it can be good. But then you have on the other side other experiences, as you know, ladies not feeling as supportive or feeling that perhaps they are not listened to or sometimes disregarded their opinion. So I guess like we talk about the culture that you set as a leader in the project. I think it's all about behavior really, and how you treat them as a family really.
And this is one of the things that we also spoke about. Behavior is the one thing that we need to change. It's an easy win for us to change the signs into gender-neutral signs. Site offices make sure that the facilities are there. It's a simple change. May take some time, a little bit, but it eventually happens. Behaviors are, hard for us to change, and it's more, you have to commit more to it. So. That's one of the things that you were talking about.
Can I add to this?
Yes,
I truly
sure.
believe in education and awareness trainings, and we have this a lot within Khatib and Alami. So on a weekly basis, I receive from our HS&E department these awareness emails on specific topics regarding health, safety, and environment, which opens our eyes to things that maybe we're not looking at or not, we did not experience. So awareness trainings are key also to increase the educational level within our employees in the organization.
I just want to add to that I'm a senior architect at JT & Partners. I'm with the design team usually. I visit regularly sites. I'm not based on site, but it all starts also in the office. So the behavior of the people around you, I'm on my 6 months of pregnancy, and you start feeling that if there is an awareness about the subject and people around you, okay, no, let me do it, Michelle, for you, you can't do that, let me help you. If there are proper trainings before going to sites, so for example, it starts from an individual level. If I want to go to site and nobody did training for me, I will not accept to go, you know what I mean? I have to be aware that if I want to go there, I want to understand where I can walk, where I can go. I'm pregnant, do I have to wear a mask, depending on the chemicals that are there. So I think it's also from the leadership, it's the whole pyramid. It starts from the individual himself, because the concept of safety starts since you're a kid. The first thing that your mom tells you is, be careful, be safe, don't fall. Sure. So this grows in your mind into everything in your life.
Sure.
So I think if you are aware, if you are cultured, it's not only gender related, I think. It's for everybody, it has to be like that.
And it's true, it has to start with you in order to implement it. But I'm curious here, we've all been to construction sites and we've been also to offices, obviously. Have you seen a policy that caters to female pregnancy, an HS&E policy? No.
Nothing specific.
Maybe it's not
Maybe
a
something
policy.
that we need to change.
I was actually a bit shocked when I spoke to our logistics and health and safety department. And I said to them, obviously there's a fine line between where women and men, we don't want to be seen as being special or different, but we do have slightly different requirements and needs on site. And the policies are not actually looking at specifically what we need. Something really small, for example, was in our bathrooms, and no one really likes to talk about it, that we prefer to have bins with lids. And it took about 2 months to get something like that implemented, whereas if it was something that was set as a minimum standard from site establishment, it wouldn't be something that we would have to ask about. And I think as women, we need to be more engaging and sort of have these discussions with the team to tell them what it is that we're actually looking for. And a lot of it does come down to awareness.
I want to add to that this is where you get the support as a consultant, because the consultant supervises the site as a supervision team, and they provide specs for their team. So we want this, we want that. They make sure that the contractors provides that. If the contractor is not providing that, then we make sure that we are protecting our people, protecting the engineers. If there's no female toilets, like you're saying, we make sure that it has to be there. This is where you get the support of your company. And I think at JT & Partners, for example, Joe already is famous in the first panel. He always provides support for everyone, I think, because we're almost like 50-50 in the office.
Yeah, that's really good. I think we can all, say the same thing about our companies. Mott MacDonald also is, that's the value that we portray. But we also have we can work towards implementing that change. And maybe that's something that we can take from this summit that we have, to actually implement it and make it clear that there are some. I don't like to, because we're working towards a gender-neutral environment, we don't want to make it, very, again, binary, but something that caters to everyone.
I think we don't want to differentiate, but ultimately I think we talk about setting up a project or a site. There are some of the better projects, bigger projects that, they are set up in a really beautiful way. Ladies, gentlemen, everybody's accommodated, but then you have some of the smaller projects that perhaps do not accommodate as well, do not have the right facilities, and can be, your welcoming visitor as well, which can be men, ladies, doesn't really matter, really, just to make sure you cater for everybody and everybody's needs, really.
We all agree that we're in a better place, obviously, from 10 years ago.
Absolutely, and I think it's just
and we'll be working towards even making it a more accommodating, let's put it that way, place for us,
Yeah, absolutely. So is it working?
Yes.
Hi. So I just wanted to share actually my experience on something we mentioned earlier. I've been working for over 10 years in a project delivery, so on site, mostly in Europe, in UK. And there was actually something very similar that was started by the management team that was a card. And I mentioned this for a specific reason, not to repeat my colleague. So the card was supposed to encourage people to highlight issues on site from an health and safety point of view. And it was actually an anonymous card, so that people felt actually free to raise a point. And it did work very well. So at the beginning, people were raising issues that perhaps in person they didn't feel comfortable in raising. And to me, health and safety is really gender neutral, so I'm not talking about men and women, because even male colleagues didn't feel comfortable about raising issues because they didn't want to find themselves in trouble. And something extremely interesting happened. So with these cards, we started to notice that people were not only reporting safety-related issues as such, but they were also touching on subjects more related to working hours are too long. I am very tired in the morning, or I have issues of some other type. So they felt that that was also a space to raise other concerns. It could also have been as a woman, we don't have this in our facility. Our changing room is for 5 people, and the men changing room is for 200 people. So we don't have a shower. Any of these items. And I think it was a very powerful tool, because actually what happened is from having a weekly meeting where these cards were discussed, from saying these are the items from an health and safety point of view that have to be addressed, we started to say, well, actually, we need to look at the well-being and how people are feeling at work, because, and I tie this into the incident and accidents-related subject. Unfortunately, we all try to be beyond zero from an health and safety point of view. Whoever has worked on site, we really value what health and safety is bringing, and all the companies have massively improved from this point of view, but unfortunately there are still accidents and incidents that happen, and there are very long investigations and people are questioned. And sometimes, in most of the cases lately, and I've worked probably on projects that were a bit in a spotlight, like the Olympic Park or major projects where health and safety, the standards were very high. But we noticed that the issues was not having a risk assessment, not having control measures in place. It was actually more related to behavior. So people not following those rules that company are really trying hard to prepare the staff on. It was nothing related to training. It was tiredness, lack of concentration. So when I was invited to this panel, and I thought, yes, we can discuss for hours about health and safety items, but I actually think that behavioral-based safety is the direction that the industry, because now we are all specialized in, and we have specialized people and people trained in health and safety and risk management. We are improving very well. But what about behavior? How can we actually influence this part and helping people on this matter? So this is something I send back to my colleagues.
You open it to the panelists to talk about.
I think it's a really fantastic topic that you just started. I think from the beginning of the session we talked about, and I heard over and over again people talking about balancing life and work, and finding time for family, and then do the best at work. And sometimes the expectation is that you need to be at school, do the assembly, prepare this, do at work, focus on a career progression, give your all really in everything. What does it really mean to have that balance? Does it mean that today I'll divide it in half and I will break myself? It's not possible. Does it mean that perhaps at the end of the week I said, well, I've done my best here, I've done my best at work. When I'm at work, I'll try not to check emails. Basically, just be where you are and just enjoy and do your best. But ultimately, I think the pressure that it's on, and again, I would use the new moms because they are, again, more emotionally involved, and it's a bit more difficult for them once they get back to work. They don't want to fall back, but they also do not want to fail on as moms in family.
Especially when you have a career. The hashtag for this year for Women's Day was Balance for Better. And at Mott we had, we had a get-together, obviously, to talk about it. And the theme that I chose was, balance between work and life. And I think there's a lot of pressure on women to balance. And personally, and that's not something I think I'm agreeing with you here, is I don't think it happens. And you need to choose what the priority is every day, and kind of at the end of the week, pray that you've done the right thing.
Absolutely.
I am a mom, I have 2 girls, so it's always, you have that guilt factor when you have business meetings or you have to travel and so on. But what I found personally is that it all depends on your support system, your family, your friends, and for them to kind of support you to be where you are right now. But that's a really good point, because it goes back to the behavior, and it goes back to the well-being that, Camila, you're concentrating on right now in ACOM, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to share a little bit about what's happening?
I think there are various cases that I found that some ladies struggle to go back, and sometimes they do not wish to express or to discuss with a supervisor in a way that, listen, I don't want to show that I'm weak, I can still do the job, but I'm not ready. We talk about the maternity leave, that it's quite short, then perhaps flexible working hours that could help. So many ways, but unless we talk about it, it's not going to be sorted.
Implementation will take time.
Absolutely.
But
it's just the awareness that we want to raise, and we want those leaders to understand that it's not easy, and perhaps, pay attention to certain signs and behavior change, because sometimes, you find depression, there are anxiety attacks. And I don't think as managers we are trained to recognize those and perhaps give that support before we provide perhaps employee assistance programs or medical advice. If you're there as a colleague, so I see that you're changing in terms of your sleeping patterns or you are more isolated, I should recognize it as a colleague or supervisor perhaps. Yeah. So
and
I think it's just that awareness that we...
And that takes health and safety to kind of the office and even sites. Yeah. But it takes it to a higher level than, incidents and accidents and tripping and slipping to more of, and I think that's the subject that a lot of people are talking about, well-being and mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, taking care of yourself first.
And
all right, I would like to share our experience at Parsons. Parsons, the safety is one of our core values. And every year, since I joined Parsons back in, when I joined Parsons too, every year I have like 6 or 7 modules of safety every year. And I have to do it. In addition to the big manual we have for health and safety, that if you want to be certified for like project controls or a project manager, or you need to go on site, you have to do this. In addition to like every 3 months, we have another safety training. Safety is very important for us, because sometimes we cannot be awarded projects if we have accident record, It's very important for our corporation that we have 0 accident so that we can be invited to more opportunities. I've been to site many years. The first time for me it was with my old employer back in 2000. I was a junior. So I remember it was a major project, it was a hotel project. We were constructing the RAF foundation. So I went there with my colleague, she's another female as well. And my other male colleagues, we were walking and the site, they were just doing tuck, 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 tuck. When they saw us, they were tuck, tuck, tuck. Everybody was looking at us like this. 2 females on site, It was like strange feeling for me. Why the other guys are looking at us like this? But, at that time, they didn't see any women, like going to site. But since 2000 till now, a lot of things has changed. You will see a lot of women on site. But what we see on site, this is actually my own experience. I've been to many sites. I've visited so many sites actually here in Dubai, whether in Abu Dhabi. Our women are focused on office-based site. Like she's a secretary, she's a project controls, she's like utility following OCs in the office. But honestly, rarely I see women that they are going actual work on site, like doing inspections, doing investigations on site. Only one case, I've been to a major project here, and before, of course, we go to any like site visit, there should be a safety induction. And like safety manager came, she's a female. She gave us the safety induction, actually very good. We stayed like for 1.5 hours safety induction, what to do and what's the safety hazards. And anyway, we completed the site visit, and then after that we had to go to the site visit. And part of the site visit, we have to go through a tunnel. One major project here in Dubai, and she actually was very good. But this is one of the rare cases I've seen. In Parsons as well, what we do to encourage me to go to site, I have special PPE. For example, I have my pink vest. I wear it. My hat, actually, I have like a ribbon around my hat, which shows that she's a female, honestly. And of course, I have my safety boots. They have special, like specifications or requirement for safety boot. So, as a woman, I like fashion. I went and I bought a very nice safety boot, So I wear it to site. Whenever I go to site, all my male colleagues, Suad, this is a very fancy boot. From where you get it? I want to get the same as you. Women, they want to be mentored, they want to learn. Most, like of the site, if you think of it as women going to site, everyone believes the site is for men because, they believe that the women, their capabilities cannot handle site activities, like they need some people with muscles. But honestly, it's like different. I was just chatting with one of our construction directors the other day, about his experience for dealing, with women, and he said, honestly, Suad, in his earlier days, they had a woman on site, and they were actually betting how long this woman will stay on site. Because they believe that it's only for men, And the other thing, women, they don't find someone, if they want to go, like, it's male-dominated, industry, if you want to go inspection or blah, there should be a male monitoring, and this male, they are looking for, another male to monitor them, to grow them into this thing. But really, he just wants to monitor a female to go and do some inspections and blah. So he said, honestly, Suad, everyone believes it's about muscles, but to tell you the truth, a lot of instruction, items, they need brain. You have to let your brain
and we're
work.
here, and we've proved ourselves. We've done that. And remind me to ask where you bought your boots from. That would be really good. Fashion-forward safety boots.
Actually, I will tell you something. We have this management meeting, like every 2 months, just to share around the region, to share our experience in safety and what incident we have and this and that. And every meeting I go to Suad, from where you bought your boots? I need to buy some Suad fancy boots.
Thank you, Suad.
We take something away. I would like to comment on that. I have a colleague. She is an interior designer on site, and we were managing. We were the consultant on resort project, and interior design was a very important discipline in this project because the client was looking more of having fancy materials used as marbles, frames, and all the interior design requirements. This lady was doing inspections inside on daily basis.
Okay.
She didn't need the muscles, she needed the brain, and she needed the woman taste and the woman touch. And she did add value in that area. This project is one of the very recognized interior design projects in Dubai. And I think she have accomplished a great achievement on this.
I think we are at the place where we've all accomplished, and
Yes.
we still have a lot to do, but we are there. Christina wanted to say something.
Yes, I was just going to add something on protective clothing.
Yeah.
I'm actually the right opposite of my colleague here. So when I was on site, I was actually proposed once to try fitted women PPE. And at the start, I was like, no, thank you very much. I don't want. I'm not the best
Gender
person
neutral.
for no. But then I thought, okay, if it's part of the process, let's try. And what I realized is that I moved from what I will describe you shortly to this other fitted uniform, let's say, and it was extremely fitted. At the point where my colleagues started to look at somewhere else rather than looking at me when I was talking on site. So I said, well, this is not going to help health and safety at all. And I actually felt, yes, this has happened. So I actually felt, for the way I am, much more comfortable. I had this jacket in UK, it was very cold. I had that like double jacket, it was 2 sizes bigger than me, and honestly it was down to my knees, and my trousers were 2 sizes bigger because I used to wear under trousers as well, because when you are out on site and 0 degrees, 12 hours a day, that is what you worry rather than thinking, I have fancy boots. I'm sorry, I have to make this.
Were you able to
I have to make this
That's a hazard by itself.
Fancy boots were not. When you are covered in mud, actually fancy boots. So I know we like to laugh and of course make a joke about this. We are women, we all like good things. But I want to bring it back to the fact that, for example, protective clothing, yes, it's important that we look into outfits for health and safety that are suitable, but not just me as a woman, because I'm happy to wear whatever is there, but also maybe for people that have special conditions. Some colleagues, male, maybe they were a bit overweight and they could not find the right size, which to me is the same problem as any other condition, whichever it is. And I actually think that the point is not what women need, but what do we need on site to protect ourselves from the heat, from the cold, from chemicals. So this is what I wanted to bring it back to. So I went back to wear my PPE, and actually people were finally getting back to listening to me, which is actually the most important thing, because when I'm on site, I actually tend to forget which might sound strange, that I'm a woman. I'm there, I'm a professional, I'm trained, and I have an expertise in something, and I want people to listen to me and not to look at me in a different way.
No,
Very
this
well
was not
said.
the point.
That's
It's
really
just the
good.
point I just want to
Yeah.
add to make the site attractive for women. Right? Women, they have the power, they have the ability to go on site. But to make it attractive for you, to distinguish you, this is why you have to wear, for example, different color as a vest.
Yeah,
So
but
they
you
identify
will-
you as a woman because you are raising your hair, you are wearing this hat. Nobody knows you are a woman,
But would you want to make the difference by what you say and what the difference you make on site, or how
No,
you
no. This is
then-
not the whole point. This is not the whole point.
I'm more on
This is
making
not
the
whole point.
difference.
So ladies, I think
This is not- no,
that's
this is not the whole point.
take,
No, just to
yeah,
make
you
it
can
clear.
take
No.
after probably, which is good. Yeah, there are different opinions here. That's really good. But thank you very much for sharing that experience. I know all of us had some funny stories to share during site. I don't know if anyone would like to share something.
I was in heels on site, but I was visiting the site office, not the construction area. And who's from Mace? Someone from Mace jumped and said, I think the safety engineer. He said, heels, out. And I looked at him, I'm trained. Don't worry, I'm trained. So yeah, that was a funny experience, but I never put on heels. I was safe that day, thanks God, but yeah.
Speaking
I'm
of
short, I need heels.
Well, heels, talking about them, I had the same experience where I was called to an interview at that time, and the interview was in a site office, in a cabin, the small cabins,
Yes.
the regular cabins,
Yeah.
the two offices and the bathroom in the middle. Went to it, and I was wearing heels because it's an interview, so you need to look your best for this interview. And while walking, my heel just went down the floor. So needless to say, I just didn't go through the interview because I didn't want to. But that's, specifications of flooring have to accommodate for heels, I believe. Kidding. So I'll just go back to, we were talking about if you see something that's not right, whether on site or in the office, to speak up and talk about it. And I really liked the idea, and I think a lot of us are implementing it, where you have the red card, I call, similar to the football match, where you can say that. But I was interested more about the statistics behind how many female professionals actually do that. I know that they have the authority similar to their male colleagues, but do we actually speak up?
Yeah. I will just share my experience. Recently, we were in a major event here in Dubai for like a site visit, and a major client here came for a site visit. And all the ceremony was set in place. It was a beautiful site. Everything was fine. And after the client immediately left, things went to normal. The contractor started working, resuming work. So we were just leaving the site office, and suddenly we see this bulldozer following us. And there is, like a man with the flag to direct or the signage or anything, and immediately stop. We called the RE. This is not acceptable. He stopped all the work on site. The contractor was stopped, and he was penalized for 1 week, actually. And we did audit. After 1 week, after we made sure everything was fixed on site, and he's working according to safety regulation, then he resumed work. But he was penalized.
Because you spoke up?
Yes.
I truly believe whether men yeah. Please.
But I want to just mention something before you continue here. I want to mention that working on sites or with different contractors, the level of safety awareness from different contractors in Dubai, whether a major contractor and mid-level contractor or a small contractor, it actually differs a lot. I'm talking even between the category of a major contractor. The level of safety awareness between all these major, it's really different. Some of them, yes, they are safety diverse, they are working with it as per the regulations. Some of them, no. Because some of them, they find a conflict between safety and progress. Everything here in Dubai is fast track, so I need to progress work more, but sometimes they put a safety like a second level.
And that's what Christina was talking about, basically. Safety is not about risk register and identifying, what equipment to use and so on. It's more about the behavior. And if the behavior is embedded, then you wouldn't have, different contractors with different
So I want to tell you,
safety.
Alogo, safety comes first, to tell you the truth. Safety comes first. Safety, it's more than it comes before the progress of work.
Of course.
We have to make sure that all the people on site are safe before actually accomplishing or just progressing anything.
Yeah.
But this concept actually, it's not in the mind of, like contractors or even consultants. Okay, we want to progress, we have a deadline, we need to submit.
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. It's not like I don't think health and safety, it's just about that.
Yeah.
But I think it's because we are way beyond that. So from where we were in the 70s, in the 80s, all of that and all the lessons learned have been implemented into procedures, into policies, into training that have actually raised the bar, the level. So what we give for granted now that, yes, of course, there is a risk assessment. Yes, of course, there is method statement. Well, before they were not there. So we have to be, I think, even now I know that there is probably a lot of pointing at the industry because things happen and we still are improving, but I think that the improvement from years ago has been so great that we should all be proud for even the smallest thing we do on site that we think maybe is not relevant. We have to remember that, especially at senior position, we are looked at. We do represent someone. We have to be an example for in the office, on site. Don't just let things go thinking, this document, I want to read it because someone else does. Because by the time you look into the details related to health and safety and your team sees the same and is applying on site, it's where we can really make the difference. We are, each of us, in any role, I think we are an example. In every field we are involved, from the design to the even occupational health to, of course, on site is more direct as a consultant. So now, moving from contracting to consulting at recent summer, I just think that I can see how I can actually improve things even from way before the project starts. And I think we really have a greater power than we think we have, just thinking
and
that.
as you said, things have improved drastically, obviously, and safety, as I said, is a value for all of us here in the construction industry. It's just now taking it to a higher level where we're talking about behavior, for example, and well-being.
And I think to go even further, to extend that, how do we attract more women in the industry, really? We talk about PPE. Again, the truth is you don't have many options out there, and that's because you do not have the demand, really, to bring from outside. So again, how do we talk about graduates, bringing them in the company. How do we actually bring them on the side and say, this is a great place to be? How can we make it great to be for the new generations, really? Can it be that we involve them, in site visits? Can it be, there are site projects that perhaps, and not just ladies, but people not really go on site and see what's happening out there, just sitting there in that cabin for 10 hours. Could we perhaps, get with the leadership and just take them out there and see the great things, we build, really, and just make them feel comfortable? And it would be team, not ladies, not gentlemen, but the whole team, really. Everybody out there, be it more, become a norm, really.
Actually, it's different from one woman to another, but it's our right. We have to speak up as a woman, and we have to encourage and mentor, the ladies in the industry. For me, Saad, I like to go to site, for example. I like to go to site, and I don't go alone, sometimes I go with my colleagues. One of the site the other day, they have this elevator, and a lot of men actually, they are afraid to go this elevator on site. But when I saw it, some people are, I've used it. And Saad, don't go. No, what's wrong? What's wrong with using this elevator? But, they were treating me like they are scared that something will happen to me, But after that, no, they got used to it. Suad, she can go to site, she can go to the bridge, she can climb, she can do,
And that's setting the precedence
and this
being
is,
a role model.
so if you have, your colleagues with you in the office, like juniors on blood, try, next site visits, you have to take them with you. Just educate them about the site. Tell them that, show them that the site is not a bad place to be in. Sometimes, if you have one project, stay on site, you will learn a lot of things, actually. And as an engineer, the experience on site, actually, it adds a lot to you. It just adds your thinking, adds knowledge to you. Even when you do some designs or add some design, it just changes your mind of thinking, on set of thinking, how am I going to design these things?
So, ladies,
site is not a bad thing.
I think we have 5 minutes left. It was really great talking with you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.